Muskegon 911, where's your emergency?
See, I just got work. I'm at the Exxon,
okay.
And there's nobody here. It is very suspicious.
Today, family, friends, and complete strangers have been here all morning picking up flyers.
It was like a gut feeling something bad happened.
They're one of the most incredibly friendly, helpful people that you would ever meet. Unfortunately, that makes her pretty susceptible to creepy people that want to do bad things to her.
As of today, Jeffrey Willis, he's allegedly the killer of Jessica Harrington. We've charged him as such.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our inaugural 24-hour News 8 at 7, live tonight from the Wood TV Art Prize Studios. I'm Marley Ginter. Tonight we are focusing on the pivotal developments in the Jeffrey Willis investigation. The murders of two West Michigan mothers, Jessica Harrington and Rebecca Bletch. Could this man be behind them? Jeffrey Willis, now officially charged in both of their deaths. Prosecutors say they're sure they have their man.
This individual, Mr. Willis, is a monster. He certainly is an individual that I wouldn't let any of my children around, much less any female around.
We have been breaking news on this all day. Susan Shaw and our crews took you live inside the courtroom as the suspected killer faced a judge this afternoon. And now at 7, my colleague Brian Sterling is live at the Muskegon County Courthouse to get you up to speed at 7. Hi, Brian. It's been a busy and emotional day for a lot of families.
Busy, emotional, Marley. I think there was a finality maybe to today's announcement. The Harrington family chose not to come. They were avoiding the media spotlight. Of course, a lot of attention has been on this case. Rebecca Bletch's family, though, was here in court today, and you could just tell as they came and went from after the proceedings that they were emotionally drained, but they did speak to the media today. Willis, as you mentioned, now facing open murder and kidnapping charges for the suspected death of Jessica Harrington. They think that Willis restrained Jessica and took her from that gas station in Norton Shores where she worked late at night, and that he intended to sexually assault her. That's in the complaint. But remember, police, they don't have a body. Jessica is still out there somewhere, so what evidence do they have? Well, they're keeping all of that very close to their vest today, and of course it won't come out until that preliminary hearing later on. Willis, already charged, as mentioned, with the shooting death of Becky Bletch. Her family in court today, very emotional. Moments after Willis, though, was brought up on murder charges, his cousin, Kevin Bluhm, entered the courtroom. Now he's being charged as an accessory after the fact in Harrington's death. That means that they think he had something to do with Jessica's murder after she was killed. Again, what evidence have against Bluhm, they're not just revealing yet. This is a big turn in a couple of our most high-profile murder cases. We will be staying out here live tonight, Marley. Sarah Hurwitz is checking in with some of the residents around here, and we'll have a full recap of some of the stuff we couldn't get to out of the court proceedings today. Again, a very busy day, a very emotional day in Muskegon, but maybe some closure as prosecutors think they have the killer of Jessica Harrington. Marley, we'll send it back to you.
We can only hope, Brian, and yes, just mind-blowing developments in these cases. Well, now we're going to take the Harrington story further. As Brian mentioned, there is no body, so can this case be effectively tried? 24-Hour News 8 Ken Kolker broke the news of charges earlier today. He's now live in Muskegon to give us some perspective on all of this. So Ken, have police given any indication that they have any concrete evidence leading to Willis?
You know, as Brian was saying, they're being very tight-lipped about this. We do know that they've done a number of searches. Just earlier this month, they were searching Jeffrey Willis's grandfather's house. Now, you know, we don't know if they've got some trace evidence from that home, from the basement, that, you know, perhaps they've got a DNA test result back, which allow them to, you know, file these charges. You know, we do also know that they've searched his computer, so there might be you know, putting all this evidence together, maybe that was enough to finally tip the scale.
You know, Ken, I know we are all anxious to hear what investigators found in all of this. I did do some research looking at other cases that have been tried when there is no body. How common is it to have a murder trial without a body?
You know, I think this is something that the prosecutor was preparing for, and there have been other cases. There was the Baby Kate case that's up in Ludington that, you know, they still haven't found the baby, but they're charging the father with with murder, and that's going forward next week on trial. And of course, there was the Stewart case, the Venus Stewart case, back in 2010. They still haven't found her body, but they convicted her husband. They had a fingerprint on a package, a tarp wrapping. They had some evidence from a witness. So, you know, they can put all that together even without a body.
Yes, it can be done, that's for sure. I noticed too that the United States, in comparison to other countries in the world, had many more cases where they convicted somebody in a murder case without a body. So we will be holding our breath waiting to see what happens in this one as well. Ken, thank you for that live report. This is the first step in justice for Jessica and Becky, and we will follow it through to the end. A lot of families and friends in the Muskegon area have been forever hurt, forever changed by this, and our hearts go out to them during this very difficult time. In other news, breaking now, police in Walker say a man who was barricaded inside a home is now in custody. This all started earlier this afternoon at a house on Miller Avenue. Now, we don't know what the man is accused of, but we'll let you know when we find out more. More breaking news just off the wire. Federal prosecutors have charged Ahmad Rahami with planting bombs in New York and New Jersey, including one that hurt 31 people when it blew up on a busy street. Rahami was captured yesterday after being hurt in a gunfight with police. He is still in the hospital. Well, now let's get out to the Grand Plaza, where meteorologist Kyle Underwood has a look at what's ahead for your Art Prize weather. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, Marley. Tonight's top story is the Art Prize forecast, with the big event, number 8 here in Grand Rapids, kicking off tomorrow. Here's what the forecast looks like. You know, not as nice as today, but we still have some warm temperatures in the forecast for tomorrow. There's a system pushing through that will provide at least spotty showers and thunderstorms, mostly in the morning. I can't promise a dry afternoon, but I think there's a much better chance. If you want to get off work, head downtown, check out some Art Prize events and exhibits, or do anything else here across West Michigan. I think the afternoon looks better. And as you can hear behind me, it's buzzing downtown GR already. It's going to be a nice night here across West Michigan, and tomorrow doesn't look bad. 8-day forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll show you the better chances of thunderstorms later in the week, Marley.
All right, such an important forecast as we all want to get out and see all of the art. Thank you, Kyle. We have a special story for you tonight at 7. He's one of the only billionaires in West Michigan, the co-chair of supermarket giant Meijer. Well, for the first time on television, Doug Meijer is opening up about his struggles with depression and how a celebrity doctor and a controversial treatment changed his life. Here's 24 Hour News 8's Leon Hendricks.
His last name, a household name, Doug Meijer. His multi-billion-dollar fortune, one most could only dream of. But still, inside, he was hurting.
I didn't know how much more of it I could take.
Seated in the serene setting of the Frederick Meijer Gardens, the son of the man who built it all. He is now the co-chair of the company and listed as one of the 200 richest people in America. Proof positive, he says, that depression does not discriminate.
And it's one of those things that nobody wants to talk about.
It surfaced for him several years ago. In the midst of finding help, a cancer diagnosis, a divorce, and death, his father and friend. None of this the cause, but all factors. But now, he says, things have changed, and dramatically. Friends say,
Or you look so much happier now. And I am.
Doug Meijer credits IV treatments with a drug called ketamine. Meijer crossed state lines to get his treatments through celebrity doctor and conservative commentator Keith Abloh, who clearly
ketamine is profoundly effective.
Really thinks highly of the drug.
The gold standard. That should be front page in the New York Times. The word has to get out. It sounds too good to be true, but it is true.
It's a generic drug with FDA-approved use as an anesthetic before surgery, for example. Dr. Abloh says it's effective as a depression treatment in the majority of some 100 patients he's used it with.
People who were incredibly despondent can emerge from themselves and say, look, I'm not feeling that way. I don't have the kind of desperation I did in 45 minutes. It's a kind of miracle, but longer term, it can promote these connections between nerve cells that have gone dormant. That's profound.
But the notion doesn't come without concern. Ketamine is sometimes abused on the streets, called Special K. Some fear its use could lead to addiction. Certainly not the only depression treatment with that as a concern. And even Dr. Abloh admits sometimes it just doesn't work.
There are about 30% of the people for whom it doesn't seem to work. Even those folks shouldn't give up. Things can be done.
Dr. Abloh says it's not widely used in part because of how it's best administered, most effectively by IV, a style of treatment Abloh says many psychiatrists don't have readily available.
You should expect that your doctor might resist. It's still a little cloaked in stigma. The word still hasn't gotten out as completely as it should.
In Doug Meyer's case, he says ketamine treatments made a major difference.
It forces me almost to relax or meditate a couple times a week, just to calm down, relax, clear my thinking, and start the next day anew.
Part of his treatment has been sharing his story. Seen here supporting I Understand, a West Michigan organization that focuses on mental illness awareness and suicide prevention.
If I don't talk about it, if others don't talk about it, then it doesn't get addressed. We're not solving anything.
Doug's proof of a lot of things. Doug's proof of the fact that depression can affect anyone. He's proof that people can recover, and he's proof that you shouldn't not talk about this.
Helping others is what life was all about for the best known of the Meyers.
I don't think he could be happier.
Spreading the word and sharing gives Doug perhaps the most powerful antidepressant out there.
Hope is a beautiful thing.
Well, Meyer and Dr. Abloh were both very excited about the ketamine. Their biggest message is to do something. If you're struggling with depression, get help and get help fast. And if you know someone, make sure that person's encouraged to get help and know that there is light at the end of this situation.
So very important. I have to say I admire him for coming out and being so strong to spread such an important message. In this controversial treatment, depression actually is so widely spread, as this is proof that that is the case. Are there people who are not candidates for this treatment?
You know, Dr. Abloh said 30% of his patients it didn't work for, 30 out of 70. So, but he didn't identify any commonality among them. But he said for some reason in 30% of the patients it didn't work. We see that in other drugs where they just don't work for some people, and that is the case with this. But they were very emphatic that there is treatment out there for everyone. They want folks to be encouraged to contact their health professionals if they do have concerns with depression. We want to show you some of those resources on the screen right now. The West Michigan Mental Health Foundation, Network 180, we've got their phone numbers there. They're online at woodtv.com. Both resources for folks who are struggling with this, and there's a lot that are.
Of course, so glad that we're putting that information out there. Yes. Leon Hendricks, thank you for that story. Well, this is one everyone's talking about today. Brangelina is done. They're divorced, announced today, so is there any hope for the rest of us? Are we doomed to divorce? That story by the numbers coming up. And as we go to break, we do want to remind you that Inside Edition is now airing at 7:30 every night, right here on Wood. We'll be right back. Oh, it was the divorce decree heard around the world. You probably already know by now, sadly, Brangelina is Splitsville. Looks like Angie is actually the one who filed for divorce using the old standby, irreconcilable differences for the reason. So this is a huge power couple. Their divorce probably isn't really a shock, but what about all of us common folk? Where do we stand when it comes to divorce? Well, we took a look at some of the latest numbers available, and it appears divorce rates are actually going down. About half, even a little less, of all first marriages end in divorce, but it actually goes downhill from there. Second marriages are even less likely to last. And if you get married a third time, well, maybe you're not doing it right because almost 75% of you are doomed to divorce again. Well, when it comes to Hollywood, it seems like everyone breaks up eventually, but you'd be surprised at where celebrities rank on the list based on profession. According to a police journal on psychology, dancers and choreographers are actually the worst at staying wed. Bartenders come in third, and well, they're placed second, and then third place on that list. I'll let you draw your own conclusions about why their divorce rates are so high. Entertainers and performers and athletes actually come in 12th on the list.
Hey, we are live here celebrating Art Prize 8 kicking off tomorrow in a forecast that on the whole, looks pretty good. Of course, by that, there are a couple of exceptions and bumps on the road, but we'll dig into that coming up next.
All right, we're out here now on the Grand Plaza with Kyle Underwood, just outside our studio. So, you know what, the day has been gorgeous so far. Let's boil it down to our Art Prize weather forecast. Looking good for the start?
Well, you know, the normal high this time of year is about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than it was today. And we're on the whole going to keep this warm weather going for several more days. And we do have to battle a couple of shower thunderstorm chances here, Marley, over the next couple of days, but most of the time it's going to be dry. Storm Track Live right now revealing a couple of showers here across the lake in Wisconsin, but most of what we're seeing is just very light rain in northern Wisconsin, and that's headed for northern Michigan, not really southern Michigan anyway. Take a look now at satellite. There's some cloud cover associated with this, stretching from about Madison up toward Milwaukee, covering the UP, and that will spread in tonight. But as I look up at the sky right now, I don't see a single cloud here in West Michigan. It'll be a little cloudier coming up tomorrow, though. Futurecast calling for the increase in cloud cover. That matches that trend that we're seeing on satellite perfectly. And then here comes a little band of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock, this hits the lakeshore, give or take an hour or two, but watch what happens here as we get into the afternoon. That thing just fizzles apart. I think by 1 o'clock we should start drying out. There is a chance of a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, especially on the east side of the state, but I think the second half of the day stands a much better chance of being dry. Here's our 8-day forecast now. Sunshine out there now, clear skies, nice night ahead. Here's the 8-day forecast now, calling for nice weather coming up tomorrow with just that small chance of showers and thunderstorms. Chance of storms again coming up on Thursday, a little warmer. You're going to notice it's going to be muggy, Marley, coming up tomorrow and Thursday. As we get into the weekend, we're forecasting mostly dry weather.
Nice. So overall, though, we will take a little warmer for the start to Art Prize.
It's always great to start this way. The finish looks like it may be warmer, too, as I look at some of the longer range trends, but you know how it is with that. Yeah. It's a fingers crossed type of situation.
All right, thanks, Kyle. We'll be right back.
We've been through this, Mr. Stump. I asked you a very simple question. Do you know how much the value of your stock went up while this scam was going on?
It's all of my compensation is in our public.
Do you know how much it was?
We're learning brand new information about the standoff in Walker that ended just moments ago. Now, we told you at the top of the show that the man barricaded himself inside the home on Miller Avenue. He was arrested. Police are now telling us there were 2 victims. One escaped and one was held for hours before the suspect let them go. Our crew is talking with police right now. We will have the latest at 11. Today on Capitol Hill, some lawmakers got to do what a lot of us would like to do, light into the head of a major U.S. bank, the CEO for Wells Fargo, after his company allegedly started bank accounts for people and they didn't even know about it. Well, here's how it went.
You know, here's what really gets me about this, Mr. Stump. If one of your tellers took a handful of $20 bills out of the cash drawer, they'd probably be looking at criminal charges for theft. They could end up in prison. But you squeezed your employees to the breaking point so they would cheat customers and you could drive up the value of your stock and put hundreds of millions of dollars in your own pocket. And when it all blew up, you kept your job, you kept your multi-million-dollar bonuses, and you went on television to blame thousands of $12 an hour employees who were just trying to meet cross-sell quotas that made you rich. This is about accountability. You should resign. You should give back the money that you took while this scam was going on, and you should be criminally investigated by both the Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Ooh, snap. Well, there's still no word yet on what, if any, official criminal action will come out of this. For his part, CEO John Stumpf apologized, saying he was, quote, deeply sorry. Well, haven't we all gotten bad service somewhere, whether it's a cranky cashier, bad food, or a lousy car wash? Congress is looking at legislation allowing you to speak up on review sites like Yelp or TripAdvisor without worrying about getting sued. Congress is defending your right to Yelp. It's in response to some businesses that made customers sign non-disparagement clauses, but then sued if a bad review showed up. Right?
I didn't know that even existed.
Yeah. If you want to, if you want to speak up, I think that helps everyone around.
I'm going to go scrub my TripAdvisor account right now. I can't afford a lawsuit.
Right. No, we cannot. We'll see you tonight at 10 and 11.